Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
Like, velocity. I'm not saying it's not important, but I think they put too much emphasis on it. And again, I'm testing with more stuff now with the new algorithm and stuff, but for most people, I'd recommend still go slow, Craig, for everything I just explained. You gotta, especially as a beginner, even novice, just add a little, see how it reacts, and then take it from there. Whereas, just pouring them all on at once, it works, it seems still, but you got to know what you're doing with optimization. And if you mess something up, then it's going to be hard to fix. All right, from Jeremy, when you set up PBNs now, how close are you following Stephen Floyd's training on PBN safety? I haven't gone through his course in a while, Jeremy. I don't do the, to be honest, I don't do the socials for most of mine, and like the, what do you call them? Like, he'll create like a persona for each PBN, I believe. I don't do that. But I mean, what Steven teaches is awesome, and the more you can go that route, I just don't have time to do it. I'm doing so much testing, I don't really have time to set them up like that. Like, I guess I could, but he kind of has that testing in place, so I can have my testing in place without his stuff. But I mean, I set them up just how I show in the training, Jeremy. I use pretty much privacy for most of my sites. I use fake QAs for a little bit, but mostly just privacy, setting up the new way I showed kind of with the James Upjohn video. Where I'll just upload the old site. We went over last session. A lot of people put emphasis on topical relevance, and I think Google still has a lot of problem with that. We showed this site last week. Remember, I did this about 6 months ago. I put in this link because we were talking about links taking longer to kick in. 5 bring $1 personal chef. It was number 40. Before I put in one link from Matt on the mainline.com, which is a $11 PBN I bought. Okay, you see there's no topical relevance here. It's all about real estate. None of it's about Delaware. None of it's about chefs. None of it's about cooking. But just from this link right here, from not even a good PBN, it moved from number 40 to number 5. And it moved up to like page 2, bottom page 2 right away, and then slowly moved up to where it is now, number 5, which is why I'm saying links are taking longer to kick in. But the point is, what Steven teaches is awesome. Like, it's the safest way to go, but at the same time, stuff like this still works. Like, you have a real estate site here with absolutely nothing about cooking on it, linking out to a cooking site with the right anchor text, and it moved up from number 40 to number 5. Remember, I spent $11 on this PBN. I mean, if you go through this in Majestic, I think it has like an 8 trust flow or something, which is absolutely horrible. Historic trust flow doesn't even have anything in this version. It has 6 for the historic, and then for the fresh, I believe it has 8 or 11. Okay, which is not high at all. So obviously not a very good PBN, but it's still and not only is it not a great PBN, not even good PBNs. I would say maybe not even decent. It's borderline decent. Not even topical, and it moved it up 35 spots. Just one link from a site like this. So just imagine what more powerful sites can do. It's just taking more patience now. Those links are taking longer to kick in. Optimization's a little tighter and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I set them up the way I showed Jeremy. But if you have the time and the patience to set them up Stephen Floyd's way, why not? I mean, it's only another layer of safety. If you have social behind all your PBNs, or at least you can mix it in and get a little bit of everything. That way you have different types of sites linking to your stuff. Some of them have social, some of them don't. Some of them have privacy, some have fake QAs. I mean, you can mix in everything. And you can rebuild some of them like I did this site here, which is so simple with LMG Command Center. You simply download the file, upload it to cPanel, and the site's back up. And just go edit some of the code. This literally took 5 minutes to do. And I got 35 spots of movement for this site. By the way, this is not my site, not a client. I just picked a random site and just sent a link to it just to kind of test on someone's site. So they got some free SEO out of me. Jeremy again, if you were supposed to register each domain with a different persona, do you need individual GoDaddy auction accounts for every single domain? No, you can use fake QA's information, Jeremy. Again, I don't mess with that a ton. I do more privacy. Because a lot of my sites, if you're mixing in like social and other types of links, I mean, you have other types of stuff coming in. Like, all your links from PBNs are going to be private, but if you have other types of links worked in, it doesn't matter. And I also have, plenty of affiliate sites where I only have PBNs pointing to them with all privacy protection. I have absolutely no problems. It's not to say there's not going to be a problem with it in the future, but right now there's no problems doing that. Now, if it was a huge site where I was only using PBNs, that's when I would start to worry. You know what I mean? But no one here should have that problem. If you're in a bigger niche, you're going to want to work in other links anyway, so you don't have to worry as much about having all privacy PBNs, in my opinion. I mean, that's the way I've been doing it. I've had no problems so far. So, all right, we have a ton more questions coming. I was trying to cover those in detail because we didn't have many questions, so we can start picking it up a little more. All right, from Craig, can you tell us about the change in relationship with NE? I read the note from NE. I wonder what to expect going forward. Is it still in flux? I'm not aware of that change yet, Craig, so I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. I'm not sure that note that they did. So, from Mikhail, hi Greg, can you explain no follow and do follow? Yeah, I mean, no follow just means you're almost telling the search engine not to give credit to this link. It's a complicated topic, and there's many different opinions on it, on what counts, what doesn't count, and all that. But supposedly, the way it works is generally no-follow links typically can't hurt you. They can only help you. And then if you're linking out to something with no follow in there, then it's not going to hurt you as well. I mean, that's kind of the easiest way to explain it. If you set up a shared hosting account on HostGator and can host 10 domains there, you select a primary domain, pbn1.com. You create an add-on domain, it automatically creates a subdomain, so you now have pbn2.pbn1.com, and also any other PBNs you create or added. How have you worked around this? As I feel it's an obvious footprint to use add-on domains on a shared hosting account. I mean, if you're linking to different money sites, it shouldn't matter, Jeremy. Just check out the PBN training. Are there any WordPress plugins that you deactivate when you start a site? Not really, David. If they have what are they called? Not the CAPTCHA, not the CAPTCHA, the WP with W3 cache, something with the cache things, David. I'll uninstall them because sometimes they create problems with how the site's displayed. But other than that, no, I don't deactivate anything usually. On our Facebook group, I read about people talking about WebRTC and Google Chrome. Should we avoid Google Chrome when doing SEO? I mean, I usually do. I usually use Internet Explorer. That's just me. Adding PBN links. When I add a homepage link to a money site, I'm seeing multiple of that link in GWT. Why is this happening? How do I stop it? Thanks. Don't worry about that, Marcus. I mean, it's just site-wide. If you're adding a link to the homepage, it's going to be displayed on every page of that site. I mean, it's just a site-wide link. If you want a link just from a specific page, just add the link to that page. I have a filing page structure on my website: home, service A, CCT, access control, C data cabling, about us, contact us. Is it okay to group my main pages under the service page so the link look like the main service CCT? Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about siloing, yeah, that'd be fine. Or like, I mean, I think that's what you're asking. If it's not, you can send me that directly because I'm not sure I totally understand that one. If I misunderstood it, just send me that on Facebook. I've got an expired domain I want to use for a money site, have put it on hosting and put up a dummy post to check the indexes, but now I wanted to put it on different hosting. Is it a problem if I delete it from the current host and host it on a different host? No, not at all. Wondering if you have time for a site review. My site has been stuck on page 2. It's been about 7 months. It's about 7 months old. I just don't know what else I should do other than wait longer. Keyword is skinny fiber. The site is skinnyfiberworldwide.com. If you don't have time to review it on this webinar, if you just contact me later. Just don't know what else to do. Send me a Facebook message, Keith, and I need to know about all your linking stuff. when's the last time you linked, types of links, anchor text. I need all the information. When you buy a file or gig from a writer, who owns the content thereafter, and are there restrictions on its use? I mean, you should own the content after you buy content from someone. I have a sole radio station that would like to rank for sole radio keywords on a new website. What kind of PBNs can I use, and is there any monetization I can use to justify a monthly retainer? Any pricing stuff talk cotton about, Michael, but you can use any kind of PBNs. Again, we just went over this example. We got a site on real estate linking to a site about chefs, and we got 3.5 pages of movement from one not even borderline decent PBN. So I mean, anything like this still works. Google has a lot of trouble, I think, distinguishing topical relevance still. They're trying to work more towards it, but obviously you can see in this example they have a lot of problem with topical relevance. Now, I think if it's obvious topical relevance, that it can really help you. Well, on the other end, if it's not topically related, they're having trouble distinguishing that. But obviously, if they see, the keywords you're linking to on the page in the anchor text, it's going to give you a bigger boost. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, new screenshot here. I have an affiliate website that is making about $2K a month. Congratulations on that. It has about 50 posts and pages. However, I only have a website post name permalink structure and no silo in place whatsoever. Now I want to set up a proper silo structure with YouTube videos in the vSilo plugin. I intend to manually redirect each old post to the new silo URL. This is a big step for me to do, and I don't want to put my current rankings at risk. Do you think that if I build out a new silo structure with all the old posts and the new URLs and do the 301 redirects properly, that I'll be fine? I wouldn't do it, Sebastian. I'm going to be honest with you. If it were me, I would not do it. Especially because it's making $2K a month. It's already working for you. I personally wouldn't make the change. If you want to make the change, I would talk to Network Empire and get the steps from them and what they think on it. But me personally, if I have a site making $2K a month, not siloed, I'm not changing it. I need to get a Facebook account for an affiliate site. I had a look on Fiverr, but it seems the accounts that they provide on there are not verified with a phone number. Where do you get verified Facebook accounts from? Fiverr. There's certain gigs, like there's a gig for, what the heck's that called? If This Then That I use. I forget the guy's name. But they create the stuff for If This Then That, and you can pick the type of accounts you use, and they always send me verified Facebook accounts. I'd have to look for the right gig, Steve. Haven't used it in a while. If I'm only adding one link from a domain, can I just 301 it to a money site? I mean, that's a more complicated question mark, because it depends. It can be kind of dangerous just because you don't know the quality of all the links, and it can really mess with the optimization. Generally, I don't recommend 301ing a whole site to a site, like a whole PBN to a money site, just because there's a lot of things involved with that. I mean, not saying it doesn't work and it can't work, because it can really help a lot in certain situations, but generally I don't really go into that one just because there's a lot with that. Can we check for spam penalties with Webmaster Tools, or do we leave a footprint? Yeah, I mean, you can check with spam penalties if you want, David. My recommendation, if you're going to do that, will be create a different account for each site you load up. So create a different Gmail for each site you load up if you want to do that. But I usually just check myself, and I can usually tell, penalty check methods. Is it true that drop-down menus lose you some link juice? I've heard something like that on a Network Empire together with you. Yeah, I mean, that's what they say, Sebastian. I've never tested it myself, but yeah, that's the data they've come up with. All right, from Daniel. I have a PBN that I picked up a while ago at auction, edgeofseattlegateway.com. Before I put my first post up, I performed a spam check on Google and it failed. Then after I posted something, I waited a few days later and it passed. Does this mean it's okay? Yeah, you got to have content up there for it to pass the penalty check. All right. So it should be fine if it's passing the penalty check. It at least doesn't have a spam penalty, so you should be good to move forward. Could you go over the standing penalty check? I could not see or hear it on the video I watched. Mikhail, go to the Q&A webinar in my coaching section. I cover that in great detail. And there's timestamps for each topic I talked about. To bring back a website like you did with the PBN, do you keep the pre-existing links? Is there training to do what you did with the command center to bring that PBN to its old look? Yeah, I mean, it's going to keep the pre-existing links no matter what you do with it, okay? I mean, the pre-existing links are always going to be there. No matter what you put up, whether it's a WordPress site, the old site, doesn't matter. The command center, I'm not sure if they have training on how to do that. If they don't, you can probably just send in a support ticket and they'll help you out with that. Google Fonts, I haven't really worried about that, Greg. I've had no problems. You're welcome, Jeremy. Stephen Floyd said Google can see who owns a specific hosting account. Is this true? How can they see customer data from a hosting provider? Also, he mentioned Google can see who owns a domain. Is this true even if you're using privacy? You have to ask him on that, Jeremy. I've had no evidence that they can see who owns a hosting account and all that, or if they can see who owns a domain. I think if they could, that I'd be screwed, and I'm doing all right. So I don't know. You'd have to ask Stephen on that one, Jeremy. But if they could put that together, you know, there would be tons of footprints that would have taken me out by now. If you retheme a PBN, do you keep the pre-existing links? Is there any training on how to retheme? Yeah, we just answered that one. All right, let's say you have 10 to 20 PBNs. As you get more clients, you can simply go down the line and reuse each PBN for each client, correct? There's no current footprint when it comes to different sites having the same exact link pattern. Go to the Q&A webinar, Ryan. I talk about that. Again, there's timestamps for different topics, and that's in my coaching section. I've heard that we need to change our SOA records as it could leave a footprint if we don't change it. Can you briefly explain why we need to change them, and also can you show us how to change this if it's a quick thing to show? Don't worry about SOA records. That's only for SEO hosting stuff, Steve. I was on the phone when you were speaking on my question about Skinny Fiber site. How do I contact you after webinar? Just contact me on Facebook, Keith. You need to have all your link information, like you need to have a ton of information ready for me. All right, Steve. I think now that I'm thinking about it, Steve, I think his name's Template Titans. Let me see if I can bring it up because we're almost through all the questions so far. I think this is it right here. So I think this is the one I used where I think I even choose this. They do like a picture. They'll put an address up for you, website URL. They fill out all the information for you, which makes it very easy. And you can make sure you say, I want a Facebook account with it. And I'm pretty sure they're verified because I had never had problems with them. So, but I think this is the gig I use. There's other ones out there too, but I think this is the one I used for that when I was testing with that type of stuff. All right, from Jamie, just got my first and only PBN de-index, and I know it wasn't a hosting issue. Is there a way to figure out what happened? I'm not worried about PBN. I just don't want to repeat the same mistake. PBN had 2 posts on it, thin content maybe. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. Just without all the details, Jamie. You have to, it'd probably be impossible for me to say without knowing like all the details about it. Could be some type of footprint issue that, again, I would have no way to know without knowing like every detail. Even then, I might not be able to figure it out. Sometimes, I've had PBNs get de-indexed where I haven't figured them out a couple times, but most times you can figure out something. Can you restore content from a website if we use WordPress and our site didn't use WordPress? When you restore, it's going to be HTML, David. But they're working on something right now, Dan Anton is, where you can restore it in WordPress, whether it was WordPress or not. So that'll be pretty cool. The expired domains is the fact that it's not indexed always means penalized, or does Google just decide to de-index the site? I'm looking at the historic links on an expired domain. They're clean, but the site is de-indexed. Any thoughts? Yeah, it could just be because the site hasn't been up for a while, Thomas. If I've had a site online for over a year, but I'm now adding a money page, is still 3 to 6 month sandbox for a new page. That's still something I'm looking into. It seems like it's a little quicker, Craig, but it's still something I'm kind of testing around with. There's been a lot of changes in the last couple months. All right, cool, Steve. I have a de-indexed PBN. It is only linking to my embedded YouTube video and Web 2.0s, not the money site. Should I just leave it alone or take down the links? You can probably just leave it alone, Ben. It should be fine. All right, there's one more question, and I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. We'll have more questions come in. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. All right, so only 2 more questions then, guys. Load up your questions if you got them. I thought I heard you mention on one of the previous Q&As that you are now only linking to one money site per PBN. Did I hear this wrong? I don't just link to one, Jeremy. It's a safer way to go, I said. It's the safest thing to do, but I definitely have some where I'm linking to multiple. So you probably heard it wrong or I said something wrong. I looked at the links for dentist in my city. One of the top search volumes was a certain dentist company. If you're working with a dentist to get him ranked and you see 123 Dentist is getting over 200 searches a month, how would you anchor text that company's name to get that traffic to your client? You would just put that in your anchor text. So you do an anchor text with 123 Dentist, that's going to give you credit for that anchor text. But I'm guessing that they're well branded for that and they're going to be hard to beat out for it. But yeah, to move up for that keyword, you would just put in 123 Dentist. Yeah, they're going to be very well optimized for that since they have the EMD for it. Still just one question. Light on the questions today, guys. All right, when putting in a SEO plugin, do you have to deactivate the previous ones? Which ones do you use? I mean, usually when you install an SEO plugin, there shouldn't be any other SEO plugins already installed, depending, I guess, what you're using to install WordPress. But most like cPanel WordPress installations, they don't come with an SEO plugin. And I usually use Yoast. I mean, you can use all-in-one. I mean, it's typically the same thing. Different bells and whistles, but typically it'll do the same thing for you. I mostly use them to control titles, and then, no index file, the categories, tags, and author archives. All right, cool. So we just had a bunch of questions come in. There we go. Whoops. Missed one. From Ben, have you experimented with Derek's technique where he leaves out the geographical references in his anchor text and then themes the PBN to look like a local business, i.e. chiropractor instead of San Diego chiropractor? Yeah, I mean, I'm still saying if you add in location, you're getting more movement. But it also depends how many links you need. If you start with this type of stuff, you'll be safer and you can see the movement you need. But I'm still saying when you use exact anchor text, depending how your on page is optimized, and that's very important. Depending how your on page is optimized, that this is where you're going to see more movement when you add in location. You mentioned that Google is slowing down the rankings of new sites or pages. Do you have a sense of why Google is getting slower? Is it a particular algo that is being updated or changed? Oh, that's a good question. First of all, I think that they are happy with the results overall. You go search for anything, you're basically finding what you want. Everyone uses Google now. I mean, they get, I believe, over 80% of the searches are through Google. They're dominating. So obviously, what they're providing is very good. So I think their outlook on it is, why would we allow a brand new site, like a spammer, to come in and take over our good search results? They're good the way they are. Let's let new sites prove themselves, because what we already have in place is working so well. If the site comes along and shows consistency over time, sure, we'll let them move up. But we're not just going to let a new guy come in and just take over like that anymore. And I think that's the way they're looking at it. I think it's smarter than them. I think it's the right move for Google. As far as the algorithms, from what I understand, Panda is now built into the algorithm. So before, it would be, they would release a Panda update, and it would shake the web like that, like snap of a finger would kind of shake the web. It might roll out for a couple of days at first, then it roll out over a couple of weeks. Now it's continuously rolling out. So, and I believe they're going to do the same thing with Penguin. So Penguin, they used to release it. Now it's going to be rolled out into the algorithm. It's going to kind of be part of the continuous ongoing algorithm, from what I understand. So what that means is it's going to be a part of the algorithm. It's also going to be very hard to figure out, when a site drops. Like, you can't just go back and say, well, Penguin was released on August 3rd. My site fell on August 4th. Well, it was Penguin, Or, if it was released August 3rd and it rolled out for 2 weeks, you got hit the 10th, well, I probably got hit by Penguin. Now that they're going to be built into the algorithm, again, from what I understand, it's going to be a lot harder to identify what tanked your site, just by going to date stuff was released, because now they're going to be built into the algorithm. It's going to be a different outlook. But yeah, as far as the slowing down, I think that's just, again, we're not going to give the new guy, top placement before he proves himself with consistency. You know, if he has links going to him and they stay in place over 6 months, all right, we're going to trust these links a lot more now. We're going to allow him to move up. Whereas if you have a whole bunch of sites, you know, if you have a brand new site and he gets, you know, 20 links in one day, yeah, that's great. That's a lot of trust right there, but it's new trust. You know, again, I think it's smart. They're taking it back and they're saying, you know, links are still trust, but it's going to take longer for us to trust these links. You know, like we're just going to slow it down. What we have in place works, and you got to move your way up with consistency, and you got to kind of prove yourself. Which in the long run will be good for us, because a lot of SEO people, I think, are going to be very frustrated by this. They're not going to know what to do. They're not going to know, you know, am I over optimized? They're not going to know how to gauge anything, and they're going to be out. So, what's the best way to retain domain power when switching from a client's old site over to their new one? If it is 301 redirected properly, will they most likely keep a large percentage of their domain authority and metrics? I mean, the closest way is to make the new domain name as closely related as possible, so you keep the same automation. As far as power, I mean, you're basically going to have the same power, maybe probably a little less. Supposedly you lose about 10% when you do a redirect of your power. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds about right from what I've experienced. Usually I'll do a redirect and I'll move down a few spots for a lot of my keywords, so that does sound about right. You lose about 10%. But also it depends a lot on the optimization. You know, I was explaining the last webinar where I had an affiliate site that was making a lot of money, but I had the trademark in my domain name. So let me go here. So let's say I had like omgmachinesreview.com, right? And this site is making me 10 grand a month. Well, if OMG Machines is trademark and you're ranking for it, you know, OMG Machines can contact you and say, hey, our domain's trademark. You can't have this in your domain name. You got to switch your domain. So what I had to do was something like this, where I did like, you know, the OMG review machine, something like that, .com. And then I kind of had to come and I said, hey, is this all right? And they're like, yeah, because OMG Machines isn't exactly in your domain. So this is closely optimized to this. You know, we kind of have the same words in there. We have OMG, we have review, then we have machine instead of machines. But I mean, it's not in the exact order, so it's not going to be the same optimization. So it is going to change your optimization a little bit. Like when you do that redirect, they're going to be looking at your overall optimization differently because it's not the same exact thing. All right, so I mean, you are going to lose a little bit of power, I think, but I think the main concern is the optimization. You know, if you move from this to, you know, just like Greg's more than 4 spots, because like, now you have totally different optimization. You don't have keywords in the domain, which is a big factor, and you're going to drop a good amount. So when you're doing it like that, you got to consider the closeness of the domain name that you're switching to. If you're totally taking out keywords, you got to expect movement up or down a decent amount because your optimization is going to be a lot different. When you use anchor text, does using capitalization or lowercase allow you to switch up the anchors and avoid exact match, or is the exact match defined as anything with the same exact letters? I believe they treat them the same, Ryan, from what I understand. I mean, I'll mix them up, but I'm pretty sure they treat them the same, whether it's capitalized or not. I have a client website whose homepage targets web application development, and then there's a service page about web application development. Which page should I target for ranking the specific keyword? How do I go about it? And it depends on the client and what their, you know, their overall picture. If you probably want to go after the home page unless you're switching up. So, I mean, if the whole page is about web development application, I would go after the home page, and that, you know, that will theme your whole site for web application development. But if not, like there's another bigger topic, I would go after that inner page, and then, you know, save the home page for the bigger topic. So it just depends on, you know, their plan and what they have in place. Do you no-file links give you any link juice? I mean, I don't really care about link juice, so to speak. I care more about movement, and no-file links can give you movement. Not as much as do-file, but they can move a site. No-file links can move a site. As far as link juice, I mean, I don't worry about juice. I just worry about the movement. And I know that no-file links can give you movement. but just not as much as do follow. Could using my personal cell phone to verify money sites Facebook be a footprint? I don't know. It depends on the situation, I would think, Jamie. I'm sure it could be, but it might not be. I guess it depends on what else you've done on your phone and all that. We had like a million questions coming at once. We didn't get any, so we have plenty to go into in the last 20 minutes. All right, just clarifying what you mentioned earlier. When you buy auction domains, you just keep them in your account regardless of the money site they're linking to and use privacy on them, right? For most of them, yeah, I just use privacy. I watched the video you did on using DAS to boost a site. Do you use DAS on sites very often now, or are you pretty much just using PBNs to drive up the rankings? Yeah, I mostly just use PBNs, Craig. I barely ever use DAS myself. My client has some negative reviews on his Yelp page. What would you recommend to remedy that? Just more positive Yelp reviews. I would talk to Cotton or Fletch or Joe about that, Melissa. They have a lot more experience with Yelp reviews than I do. For small cities, is it better to target a whole country or whole county or just a small city to get more traffic? Again, it depends on the situation. If you're depends what the client wants, what they're paying you to do. It depends on the whole case or the whole scenario, David. I'm sure there's different answers for different scenarios in that. I'm setting up a no affiliate site that is in a popular niche, but the SEO competition still seems pretty low. There are several keywords with high search volume and some authority sites on the first page, but there are also sites with low DA and PA on the first page, which is a good sign. I'm going to use an expired domain for the money site that hope to rank quite quickly and stand more of a chance early on for the higher search volume keywords. However, should I still be going for low search volume and low comp keywords first off, or would you go for the bigger stuff straight away based on the above? I mean, I usually start with the lower stuff, Steve, because it works in the bigger stuff, and it helps you kind of spread out your optimization. I mean, that's the way I usually do it. How would we set up hosting for out-of-state clients? Does it matter? No. I mean, set up the same way, David. From Melissa, I'm having a lot of malware problems with my current hosting provider. 4 shut down in 3 months. I just installed a security plugin. The other plugins you recommend, is there a problem with hosting too many sites on one cPanel? Does that make a difference? No, there shouldn't be. Just if your cPanel gets hacked or something, I guess all the sites on there will be affected. You can use limit login attempts, which only gives you 3 login attempts per session. And then you can use stuff like Spider. I think Spider Spanker helps with security somehow. If you start seeing an IP trying to get in, you can block that IP, stuff like that. You can use WordFence. How many PBNs do you have? Hundreds. Don't really count them, but I got a lot of them. I seem to remember Mike said on a video about Delaware SEO that there was a conversation video that we can use. Is that correct? Conversion video that we can use. I don't know. I've never heard him say that, but I mean, I think it still ranks #1 for Delaware SEO, the video we did. I mean, it's not a great video we did. We just kind of did it to rank the video, but I mean, that's the Delaware SEO video. It's actually a low quality video. But I have an America Speaks type domain that I built out over the last month. I submitted a sitemap, but it is still not indexed. It actually did index according to Webmaster Tools, but now it is not. It's in the health niche, and I could see it requiring a manual review. Have you ever seen links indexed via sitemap and Webmaster Tools, and suddenly they're no longer there? I mean, I don't really use Webmaster Tools, Ryan, so I don't have a ton of experience with that. I have had that happen before where I put up a site, it was indexed fine, and it got taken down. And it could be like the old site owner reporting you, saying, my site's now being used for something. I don't know. That was my guess when it happened to me. I couldn't pinpoint anything. I think that's what you're talking about. But I put up an expired domain that indexed fine. I didn't do any linking, and then ended up getting de-indexed with me doing nothing. Like all the pages got de-indexed. And I'm guessing there was a manual review that it needed. So But I mean, it's only happened that once, which was, a very rare occurrence. Is it a problem in terms of dupe content if we are using generic privacy policy and disclaimer pages on our money sites, but if all the other content is unique? No, that should be fine, Steve. Is our training mainly to help clients with their existing sites, or do you recommend we create sites for them from scratch our way? You can do both ways, David. Either way is fine. Just, if they have an existing site, make sure you're doing all the proper checks. Do a penalty check on them, see what type of links they're getting, get as much information as you can get. I linked to my Facebook and YouTube video on that PBN that got de-indexed. Can I just remove the link and post to Facebook and YouTube again with a new PBN, or should I delete the entire post on the de-indexed PBN? I mean, you can do either or. I mean, since we're linking to those high DA properties, Jamie, it's not really going to affect much. I mean, we got, let's go here. All this stuff you see here, ranking for Nashville SEO, like we got our YouTube, our Facebook, our Yelp. Then we got some stuff on the second page. There's a lot of de-indexed stuff linking to these properties. And they're fine because they're such high DA. So, I mean, you should be fine, but at the same time, taking them down probably wouldn't hurt you either, so you can do whatever you want there, really. I've been learning a lot about JSON, LD, and schema markup lately, and I have a decent understanding of it. Would you be willing to go over the schema markup that you use? I don't really use it, Josh, to be honest. I would talk to Fletch about that. He's a lot more up to date on that stuff than I am. But without that stuff, I haven't had any problems. So you have to talk to Fletch about that one. I don't even know if Cotton uses that. I'll have to talk to him about it. I'm actually mark a note for that. We go back and forth on a lot of testing stuff. All right, my money site is a few years old and has lots of branded anchor text and some social. There are keyword anchor text backlinks, but not the main keyword I'm targeting. I've used a PBN via Facebook and YouTube. I'm now thinking of sending a direct link exact match anchor text from PBN. Would be okay. It should be okay. I mean, from what you're explaining, that should be totally fine to do. Map pack question. I was second in maps for the best keyword, but was using keyword in title of G plus page. Got an email from G saying to remove the keyword in title. Did that, but still got removed from maps for main keyword. Can you give me any tips for getting back my primary keyword in the map listings? I don't deal with maps a ton, Marcus, but all my map stuff, it seems like, for me, when I'm linking with the exact anchor text that I want to rank for, that's what moves me up in the maps. That's been at least my testing data. Stephen Floyd and Cotton have a lot more experience with maps, though, so if you want to ask that to them to make sure, you can do that. Talked about Spider Spanker before. Do you use the Classic or Pro? I believe you use Pro, David. Has Network Creator something in common with Register Compass? No. They're two different tools, Christine. Network Crusader is more for like PBN management. Register Compass is more like finding PBNs. When ranking YouTube videos or embeds or links to the video more important? I wouldn't say one's necessarily more important than the other. I mean, personally, I think anytime you have a link with anchor text, that's where you're going to get your most movement, but I don't want to say that embeds aren't important because they can be powerful. All right, regarding duplicate content, can you please discuss the contact the following three scenarios? A website, first of all, I don't have much experience with duplicate content because I never use it, but I'll try to answer this the best I can. Our website provided by a vendor to different customers with the exact same content, intending just to replace logos, names, and contact information. Someone using a website they created in a similar manner to redoing only limited content and reusing very similar content on multiple pages for different locations. I just know that the last one's fine, Steven, because, you know, Cotton has his site and it's doing fine. Anything that's local, duplicate content is a lot more lax. So, like, you can get away with a lot more. But outside of local, I know it's a lot more strict. Other than that, I don't really mess with duplicate content. I mean, I just, the way I look at it, get unique content, you don't have to worry about that whole issue. You know, that's just my outlook on it. All right, I have a client with a Magento e-commerce site with about 200 products. How do you approach SEO for such sites? I mean, I would just make sure that, you know, the descriptions on the products are done well and they're unique and all that type of stuff. Again, I haven't worked much with e-commerce sites, but as long as you have content on those product pages explaining the products, and that's the best you can do with it. And then just kind of approach everything else as you would anything else. I've been getting a bunch of high PA above 30 Tumblr blogs. I've been theming the content on them. Does this getting a high PA Tumblr blog compare to a similar PA PBN? Is the TSCF different? Again, I don't mess with Tumblr, so I don't know. I've never really done Tumblr type stuff, the expired Tumblrs. Just check backlinks to my site. Looks like 30 links with the same Chinese anchor text are pointed to the page, this page here. It's not a page on my site, however. Any thoughts to diagnose the problem? I mean, you can always just go in and disavow those links, Thomas, but it depends on the site. I'd rather see that scenario. I mean, the safest thing to do would probably just go in and disavow those links if you're worried about them. For sitemaps, is there a plugin you recommend? I mean, I just use Yoast, David, and it has a sitemaps thing built into it, so you can just do that. Where do I get the best age domains? Do PBNs come with domains? I mean, I like getting the best domains at auction, which, you know, basically is kind of what an age domain is. So I think the best ones come from auction. I mean, you can do expired domains, nothing wrong with that, but you're usually not going to get as much power. And does the PBN come with the domain? I mean, a PBN is a domain. It's just a domain that was previously owned that has power going to it. All right, so hopefully that clears that up. Regarding the affiliate site on an expired domain, you said you usually go for lower search volume keywords first and then go for bigger ones later. I'm planning to use the Silo Builder plugin and was thinking I should have each parent page in the silo targeting a big keyword and other pages in the silo targeting smaller keywords. Is this not the correct way to do it? Then would it be better to have the first pages on the site, parent pages going after smaller keywords, and then adding pages later to go after bigger keywords as the site ranks? I'm a bit confused about this. Please go through how you would set up site in terms of keywords. So if you're going to silo, it would probably be a little different approach. You would probably hit the silo with a related keyword, Steve. And I'll do a mix of larger and smaller versions of the silo keyword, and that's going to kind of spread out throughout your silo. So hopefully that answers that. I mean, but if it wasn't siloed, like if you just had a page targeting all the keywords, let me show you what I'm talking about. So if you had a page like on how to lose weight within 10 days, right? Or let's say like you had a page on how to lose weight, okay? And it was kind of targeted around like how in 10 days. All right, so what I would do for this, like if you wanted to like stuff everything on one page, this is what I meant about going after bigger stuff first. I would go after this, like these longer versions of the keyword first. Like if you wanted to rank this for everything from this word to different versions of it, you know, longer, shorter, to lose weight, I would start with these longer versions, okay? Because when you use this keyword, it's going to help you rank for the shorter version, okay? It's going to help you rank for lose weight. It's going to help you rank for how to lose weight. It's going to help you rank for, of course, how to lose weight within 10 days. So when you do these longer anchor texts, you're not only getting credit for those longer anchor texts that get more targeted traffic, but it's also giving you credit for these shorter versions, the bigger ones, because that's within the anchor text. So, then I might do something like, you could make this page about, man, you got in man, woman, just adding different keywords on the page and just kind of expand out from there. So I would maybe something like women's guide for losing weight over 10 days, something like that. Maybe I'd do 10 like this. All right, so then it's going to help you again for losing weight, losing weight in 10 days, lose weight for women in 10 days, stuff like that. So if you start with these longer ones, it's also going to give you credit for the shorter ones. Then you can kind of work your way towards these bigger keywords. You know what I mean? And again, this is just a quick off-the-cuff version, so it's not that great. But the point is, when you do longer versions of a keyword, it doesn't just give you credit for that long version. It also helps start helping you rank for these shorter ones. So by the time these kick in and are in place, by the time you're ready to go for the bigger ones, you're already going to be ranking somewhere for them because you got credit from them up here. But at the same time, your optimization is expanded enough where you can now use these by themselves. All right, and you usually hit these harder, obviously, than you can hit the longer versions because, again, it's probability based. All right, so hopefully that made sense. One of my PBNs got a manual spam penalty. Sorry. What should I do with that? Should I work on getting it reconsidered or leave it as is or disavow it? Again, go over the Q&A webinar critique. I go over this exact question in there. There's timestamps. Go to Greg Coaching, go to Q&A webinar, and there's timestamps. You'll see a timestamp for this exact question. All right, so I'm going to give 2 more minutes for any final questions to roll in. Looks like we got one here. All right, when using your new method of theming PBNs with content, if you use a lot of PBNs to one site, how much do you vary the keywords for the articles you order? I guess you don't order the exact same topic articles for each PBN. Yeah, vary them as you see fit. And again, I don't use that for every single PBN I do now. Again, like I showed here, you see this stuff is working. Like, just build an old site and put up a totally irrelevant link when it's working. So I mix and match. I will do some PBNs like I showed, and I think it helps. But at the same time, y'all still mix in stuff like this and one-post PBNs, although I don't do that very often at all anymore. You probably actually want to stay away from one-post PBNs. That's more for my testing. But, I do still mix in stuff like this and just, other types of things. So, yeah, just, do the topics as you see fit. Some stuff you can't expand too much. You can just kind of rename the stuff and, talk about the same topic, named differently. That's kind of the best you can do with it. Thomas just asked, is Link Research Tools your go-to program? No, I wouldn't say. I know Cotton uses it a lot for link detox and stuff like that, but I haven't used it a ton. I wouldn't say it's my go-to. So we give 1 more minute for any final questions. Just want to make sure everyone's taken care of. No one? Are we good? I know I got some questions through Facebook, so yeah, Eagles won, that's right. Surprised. The Jets are good too, so I'm surprised they won. There's life, that's right. All right, guys, yeah, I'll be in NYC Saturday. Looks like Ryan and Thomas are going. I'm going to end this webinar now. I'll go and answer the questions on Facebook as much as I can. And I will see you guys either Saturday or next Monday. All right, have a good day, everyone. I'll talk to you all soon.